Greetings. I'm Dr. Andrea Hall, the author of the Metaphysical Love Stories. If you like your romance with a deeper twist, stick around because today I will be reading from the first book of my series entitled Good Regardless, a Metaphysical Love Story. I'll be reading from chapter 7 entitled Living My Dream. I had dreamt of being a nurse and taking care of children ever since Ayanla got sick. When she was in the hospital, it was summer and school was out, so I spent every moment at her bedside I could. Although they weren't supposed to, the nurses even let me stay when my parents needed to leave for a while to run errands, sleep, or mourn in private. Go. She's no trouble at all, they'd tell them. Aisha's our honorary nurse. As hospital employees themselves, my parents were well known to the staff, whose hearts broke seeing their colleagues endure such grief and loss. The nurses loved and protected me, allowing me to tend to Ayanla's needs to the extent I could. They taught me how to give her bed baths and lotion her skin, wet her mouth when she was no longer eating, keep her hair from matting, and to just sit quietly with her, holding her hand. I could see the tears in their eyes, despite the smiles on their faces. At the time, I was convinced I could make Ayanla better by taking such good care of her that she would not want to leave, that she'd choose to stay with me. When caring for Ayanla didn't work, and she made her transition anyway, I thought it was because I wasn't a real nurse. When her spirit left her body, I promised her that I would become a real nurse and take such good care of other children that no child would ever die of overwhelming sepsis again. In keeping my promise to her, my plan had been to become a pediatric nurse. I completed and enjoyed my pediatric rotation and preceptorship as a student nurse, but much to my surprise, the training I was most drawn to was not pediatric nursing, but neonatal nursing. I loved working in the neonatal intensive care unit, which I quickly started referring to as the NICU or newborn ICU, like everyone who worked there did. I marveled at the ability and privilege to care for the tiniest human beings I'd ever seen. I especially loved witnessing the progress from a baby's birth to its stable growing stage and finally its discharge home with its family. In my final semester, I chose to do an internship in the NICU. I almost didn't because a part of me felt disloyal to Ayanla since I promised I would take care of children and not infants. I felt like I was being selfish when I chose NICU over pediatrics or pediatric ICU. People only say you're selfish when you decide to make yourself happy rather than to make someone else happy, Ayanla reassured me. Be selfish, if that's what you want to call it. Remember, nothing is either good or bad. It's how you think about it that makes it so. Everybody gets a life. Your life is yours. You get to change your mind to do what makes you happy. Babies are just young children anyway. You'll save them even earlier in the game. Live your dream, sister. I impressed my preceptor during my internship so much that she persuaded the nursing director of the NICU to hire me at East Bay Children's Hospital, where I trained immediately after graduation. It was worth every minute I'd spent commuting from my dorm in Sacramento, running my little Honda into the ground. When the director said I was a natural and offered me a position as a new graduate, I was ecstatic. I disregarded my nursing school instructor's recommendation to get a foundation in adult medical surgical nursing first, and I accepted the job in the NICU. I did what made me happy. I was getting better and better at doing that. I had never wanted to take care of adults anyway. Sagai took me to Sausalito for the weekend to celebrate my new job. Fine dining in another high-end hotel with a view of the bay. It was a perfectly romantic evening, and I was having a wonderful time until the conversation took a familiar turn. When are you starting your master's program? I stopped with my fork of buttery Dungeness crab midway to my mouth. I'm going to take a break from school and focus on my NICU practice. I'm so excited about it. Maybe in 2 years or next year. I shortened the time when I saw the look of disapproval on his face. It's more difficult to start back once you take a break. You should just keep going. You don't want to get stuck being a bedside nurse. You said you wanted to get your master's. You even said you wanted to keep going and get a doctorate so you can teach. The hair on the back of my neck stood up and I lost my appetite. Ayanla was furious. Why can't he just let you enjoy your celebration? You graduated with your Bachelor of Science degree in nursing and landed a job right out of school. That's great, Aisha. Your dream has always been to be a bedside nurse and take care of children. You only said that stuff about getting a master's and becoming a nurse practitioner to please dad. And then you said you wanted a doctorate because Sagai said you should get one. Aren't you sick of trying to please dad and Sagai? Please yourself. Get rid of this dude already. I nodded to Ayanla's voice. I could tell Sagai thought I was nodding to his instruction. The truth was, I was sick of him too. Years of fancy weekend getaways, beach resorts, and Broadway shows were no longer worth the belittling remarks and constant striving to gain his approval. Plus, Sagai continued, you really don't want to get stuck at a bedside nurse's income. You really need to keep going and get your doctorate. I'd heard enough. Sagai. I put my fork down hard, causing the people at the next table to look over at us. He was obviously taken aback and embarrassed when he saw them looking. He stopped talking and raised his eyebrows. I leaned in, confident that I knew more about the topic of a nurse's salary and role than he did. Do you even know how much a bedside nurse makes? His blank expression told me that he didn't. Well, I do. I continued. Where I work, brand new nurses start at $60 an hour. And since most new nurses start on evenings or nights, there's an 11% differential for evening shift and an 18% differential for nights. I already did the math. My starting pay could be $70 an hour, but I'm thrilled that I was offered a job on the day shift. And I'm happy to start with $60 an hour. And get this, I'll be paid time and a half after working 8 hours, double time after working 12 hours, double time and a half on holidays. I saw his mouth open, but I was not about to let him get a word in until I was finished. I'm scheduled to work every other weekend. If I decide to work even one day of my weekend off, I'll be paid double time and a half for the entire weekend I'm scheduled to work. I've already done that math too. That's $150 an hour for 16 hours. I can earn $2,400 in 2 days. Sagai shifted in his seat. His jaw clenched with obvious displeasure, and he glanced around to see if others were listening. I figured he'd probably scold me for my rant later, but I did not care. Gathering momentum, I leaned toward him with wide eyes and raised eyebrows. Releasing long restrained defiance, I said, my preceptor has worked there for 10 years. She earns $80 an hour. Double time and a half for her is $200 an hour. My college professor has a doctorate degree. She said the most money to be made in nursing is at the staff nurse level, working bedside on night shift. She's not mad though. She said she has no problem with the nurses she trains earning more than she does because she is doing what she loves. She just wants them to love what they do and not do it for the money. That describes me precisely. I'm doing it because I love it, not because of the money. In fact, I love it so much, I may never go back to school to become anything else. I'll go back if I choose to, but this is my life and my dream come true for now. Not yours and not my dad's. Sagai chuckled and shook his head, making a veiled attempt to cover his embarrassment at being so thoroughly corrected. Suit yourself. Clearly, he realized he didn't know more than I did about my chosen profession, but he wouldn't admit that. Something changed in me that night. I saw Sagai differently. I still liked and loved him for what it was worth. I appreciated the experiences we had shared, but I knew I wanted more. I felt empowered. I felt capable, proud of my accomplishment, and ready to live the life I dreamed about, including finding a healthy, loving partner who wanted to be seen with me anywhere we went and who appreciated and respected me. By that point, I developed my own suspicions of why Sagai wanted to be so discreet, but I didn't care anymore. One more night with him to meet my own desire and need was all I wanted. It was a wonderful night after we left the restaurant and put a cap on the conversation we had there. One thing I appreciated about Sagai was his skill in lovemaking. He took me to the highest heights of ecstasy. It was when he opened his mouth to speak lately that took me down. That night, I made sure every time he opened his mouth, I filled it with a part of my body. I was grateful for all he'd taught me and the adventures we had shared, but I was done hoping for more with Sagai. I knew I'd be fine without him. The season had been a good one, but it was over. I could tell he knew it was over too. His calls became less frequent after I graduated and started working full time. I stopped calling him altogether. I'm proud of you for releasing Sagai, Ayana told me. She was right when she pointed out that I'd known deep down he wasn't the right one for me, nor had I been ready for a serious commitment while going to nursing school. My studies had come first. Some might say we used each other for our own selfish reasons, but it was what it was. Ayanla was excited for me because once I'd released Sagai, I was finally open to receiving something or someone better for me. She had always wanted what was best for me, and now she told me I should reach for my goals. You can do, be, or have anything and everything you want. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this reading, and if you want to get a copy of your own and continue the journey, just click the link in my description box below to order your book. Now, this is Dr. Andrea Hall saying, enjoy your life. Thank you.